Welcome to Nomad Theatrical's YouTube channel. We are inside my fabulous wife Leanne Hutchison and my apartment in Hell's Kitchen, New York City. Welcome. And this is the first in our how-to series. And it was suggested by a young actor friend that we do how to memorize lines, which is a super important part of being an actor. So I think that's a great idea, and I'll just tell you how I do it and make a few extra suggestions. I pulled down Richard III from my shelf, and I have here a card. It's always nice to have a card to follow along your lines with and cover up lines that you should be knowing by memory instead of looking at. And that way you can hide your line while you're looking at your cue, and that helps you memorize your cues as well. The first thing I suggest is that you read the text out loud many times, so that it's very familiar in your head. A lot of actors jump the gun and they start memorizing before they've heard the text and read the text and understand it fully. That's our cat Armand. He's walking around. So read it aloud many times. The other thing is to memorize one line, then move on to the next. Memorize the whole page before you move on to the second page. Memorize the whole second page before you move on to the third, etc. So that you're not vaguely, almost kind of memorizing the whole text. You're really memorizing it page by page, line by line, and page by page. My other great suggestion, I believe this is a great suggestion, is that you memorize 3 words on either side of the punctuation together. So that if there's a period or a comma, and you memorize 3 words on either side of it, that will really help you. My other suggestion is that you record your cues on your phone memo thing or one of these handy little devices. And then, that way, you can listen to your cue and then say out loud your line as you go along. Finally, I suggest that you memorize by rote, because I think it's much more useful to an actor. So, for example, with this text that begins, "Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front," etc. Instead of memorizing it with music, in other words, intonation and inflection, like, "Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer," you memorize it very simply. "Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York, grim-visaged war," etc. Very simply. And that way, you, as the actor, have a lot more flexibility while you're rehearsing the play. You don't have to memorize you don't have to know the music or the intonation in order to be able to remember and recall what you're supposed to say. And that's it. That's all my suggestions for the moment. Bye.